Good morning, everybody. Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of Also Eligible. Joe Quill's here with you this morning, and we are going to be looking at Colonial Downs today. They have the Virginia Derby and Virginia Oaks, which is the focus of our show for the first couple of months of the year. We focus a lot on the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Prep races here. So we're going to be looking at those two races today. We're also going to take a look at their three stakes races before that. They have the Royal New Kent Stakes, which is race number 5. And then they have two divisions of the Sandy Bottom Stakes. They drew 14 horses. So what they decided to do was say, all right, well, let's make 2 races out of this. So it's 2 races of 7 each, and we'll see what we can make of these races here this afternoon as we get the day started here on this Saturday, Pi Day. And my box went flying. Not sure if you heard that, but it was like boom, boom. But so we're going to look at those races here today. So I saw this yesterday. We're going to begin with this little news bit here that's horse racing related. I'm not sure if you guys play the races at Dubai, especially because the Dubai World Cup's coming up in a couple of weeks. But as you know, that part of the world has been in turmoil, even more so over the last couple of weeks. And we're not going to get into politics or anything like that, because just like my evening show, the Joe Quill Show, we try to steer clear of politics. Well, they had a unique delay in their races yesterday. Now it's because they had a missile delay, a missile threat delay. There was approximately a 30-minute delay, and I got this from the Pollock report. There was a 30-minute delay between the first and second races on yesterday's card at Meydan in Dubai. It's first reported by Thoroughbred Daily News. According to the TDN, track commentator Pat Comerford made the following announcement after the first race. There is an alert that has come through from the Ministry of Defense that due to a current situation, political and potential missile threats, immediately seek a safe place here in the closest secured building. Steer away from windows, doors, and open areas, and please wait for further instructions. Please make your way in an orderly fashion inside the grandstand until we wait further information. And then live racing was able to continue after the delay of 30 minutes, and the remainder card was held without incident. A California-based trainer, Librado Barocchio, said there was a big bang and a big cloud of smoke. He added that he has not felt unsafe since his arrival. The explosions were approximately 2 or 3 miles away. But the Dubai Racing Club has stated repeatedly that the World Cup card on March 28th will go ahead as planned. And let's hope that is the case. But there are numerous horses that are going to be flying there from the United States this week. So actually, they're leaving today from Florida to Dubai, including Magnitude, Hitch Show for the Dubai World Cup, and Ben Tornado in the Golden Shaheen. The reigning Breeders' Cup Classic winner Forever Young is also currently training in Maidan for his start. So scary stuff there. Not going to go political with this because we know how it all started. And the last thing I want to do is get into a political debate when we're talking about horse racing here. But now, we don't usually cover Dubai, and that's usually, I mean, in terms of the horse racing sense. But you know, it's very unstable situation there in the Middle East right now, and let's hope these races go off without any incident. Let's hope the next 2 weeks go without incident in Dubai, and you know, let's just hope that they resolve this issue. You know, because this is having a ripple effect. There's going to be even more ripples with that, but let's just hope everything goes through without a hitch. And but you know, we'll probably mention the races from Dubai because they'll be running concurrently with our show in 2 weeks. So, but other than that, you know, I mean, it's just that the programs for an international car, I mean, trying to read the international races, they're really a pain. So it's not, you know, a lot of times it's not that I don't want to cover it. It's just that it's pretty hard to do it with what the different programs give you in terms of the information for the international races. You got to dig and dig and dig, and just too much work. But back to the focus that is today's races, I do want to remind you that FanDuel does have a couple of promotions that will help you today with the races. First of all, the FanDuel promotion on the top right there, you can use that to open up an account. Now, that'll be for the sportsbook and casino. And I know what you're saying, Joe. But let's think about this. First college basketball game goes off at 11 a.m. By the way, I like Cornell today. And just to let you guys know, if you scan that QR code today, you will get up to $300 back in bonus bets for 10 days if your bets don't win. So how it works, you join FanDuel, you sign up and verify your identity, you make your first real money wager after depositing, and then place your first $5 bet to get $100 in bonus bet if your bet wins. So, you know, so you got the promotion here. So you got the different ways that you can get your money back here. But let's say you are going to play Cornell today, and let's say Cornell wins. Guess what? You can bring that money over to the thoroughbreds, to the race book, because everything's interconnected. So let me show you one thing here. And we're going to get this ready to go here. So let me go here. So there you see the promotion that we only have one race that is going to be covered by any of the promotions today, and that is the Road to Kentucky Derby race, which is the Virginia Derby today. March 14th. If your horse finishes second or third, and if I'm not mistaken, there's no scratches in this race. Correct. No scratches, 10 horses in the race. So if your horse finishes second or third, you will get your money back up to $20 if your horse finishes second or third. And if you remember last week, I did give you the Puma in the Tampa Bay Derby. So maybe you played the race, maybe you played the Puma, and maybe you just sat on the money for a week. Hey, boom. If your horse finished second and third, I hope you got the money back right away and you tried to make that money. But the one thing I will say is always bet within your means. You don't have to bet $20, but there is there's promotion within the promotion here. Like for example, if you wager on $10 or more on 10 or more eligible Derby prep races, after you opt in, you would get an exclusive $50 deposit match the offer the week of the Derby. So and you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 races left as of today. So if you didn't make any wagers, you can make a wager starting today and play these remaining 10 races. So those are the 10 races that are left here, up to $20 back. So take advantage of that, because if you finish second or third, and trust me, I have a habit of finishing second and third in these promotions. It's good to have that money, that free play there, so to speak, whether it's $10 or $20 or whatever you feel comfortable playing. Also, let me do one other thing here. I'm going to log out here. And there's a reason for it. Now, even if you have a FanDuel account and you never made a wager on the FanDuel Racing page, you can use the new customer promotion where you make your first real money wager of $10 on any race at any track. You get $50 back in bonus money. Now, it's your first real money wager of $10. Allow for up to 72 hours for bonuses to be credited to your account. But I will tell you right now, even though I haven't used this promotion because I've had this account, usually the money back specials and bonuses that they give you, they're usually very quick. And you'll have 7 days to use that promotion. So that is the money back promotion that the two different promotions that may be of importance to you this morning and this afternoon. If let's say you're like, oh yeah, Joe was mentioning everything with that. So do want to mention that. And also, my motto, if it's free, it's from me. And I'm going to show you something else here as we get to the program here to get our show really going. Do want to mention one thing here. First thing I want to show you is if you go to the main page of the daily racing form. I like the daily racing form programs. Some people will like certain things. I'm not going to talk you off of them, because as long as you make money, I'm happy with it. So, I'm not going to talk you off anything. But the one thing I do, for the most part, I take advantage of the free race of the day. And especially today, you have an opportunity to get a free program from Colonial Downs, even with, even if you don't have an account, even if you have an account, but you do not have a have a plan. I have a 20 card plan I use. I use it a lot on races, especially on these Saturdays. But if you click on this, I'm not going to click on it because I got the program already up. If you were to click on free PPs, you end up right here, race 9. That's what will pop up. And even if you don't have an account, or even if you don't have a card plan of any kind, like I have the 20 card plan, look at that. You get to play Colonial Downs with a free program. So if you click on that link, you end up here. Then you just download the PPs and you're ready to go. So take it, because the one thing I preach to you guys, if it's free, it's for me. And yeah, you take advantage of all the free stuff that FanDuel has to offer. If you use any other online betting app, if they're offering anything for free or any bonuses of any kind, take advantage of it, because you never know when those rewards or whatever come in handy. So, but we're going to get to the races here. Do want to mention one other thing here. First thing I want to do is I want to log back into my FanDuel Racing account here. I do want to show one thing, because Colonial Downs is a bit of a quirky track. And that is because Colonial Downs is the only 1.25-mile track in circumference in North America. The only track that is larger in circumference is Belmont, which will return in September. So let me share this here. And there's a reason why I'm sharing this. Now, this used to be they used to have harness races here as well, but they used to have an area here where it looked like it was a little ball here, and it was so that the horses can turn around and start pacing towards the start. But one thing I will let you guys know, because this is 1.25 miles all the way around here, the Virginia Derby is going to be starting way back here. Now, normally these 1 1/8 races with most of these tracks, they'll start on the back stretch. They'll start on the front straight, go under the wire, and do another lap. But because we have a 10-furlong track here, they're going to start way back here. So, for those that are unfamiliar with Colonial Downs, especially on the main track. Now, they don't have any turf racing in this March meet. They're redoing the turf course. They do it every winter. But, you'll be able to see you'll see that everything is a 1-turn race today. They actually had a 2-turn race on Thursday, going 1 3/8 miles as they were dashing through the snow. And who would have thought that who would have thought that Colonial Downs would go from near 90 degrees on Wednesday, or Tuesday or Wednesday, to what looked like an absolute blizzard towards the end of the card on Thursday. So, but that's this time of the year, because Winter's trying to hang on. The warm air of the spring is starting to take effect, and you have that battle of the air masses and stuff like that. But enough about me talking about the weather and stuff like that. So I did want to show you that little quirk there with Colonial Downs there. So just to let you know, especially with a track like this, how the track is set up, because this is not a mistake. You are starting from the back of the chute there. So we're going to begin with race 5 here today, and that is the Royal New Kent. And unfortunately, we're down to a field of 4 here. So so I imagine there's no show wagering here. Let me just confirm that. Well, it's still early. It's only 10 o'clock. The first race is at 12 noon, so the scratches are in at least. So so we're looking at the races here. Dragoon Guard is favored here. And the one thing I will say here, as we get started here on this Saturday, one thing I'm going to tell you guys is these races are the toughest because these fields are so short. It turns into, more times than not, a tactical race as opposed to an actual typical race where you see the horses continuing the trends that they have. So so be interesting to see what happens on this race. Now, one thing I will mention as well, Irad Ortiz had an accident with a horse down at Gulfstream Park. He will not be riding here today. They did announce that he was going to be out. He was going to be out through the weekend. So we'll see who's taking over there for him today. Let me see if they have the. Let's see if they have if they announced a jockey change yet or not. Okay, they didn't announce it yet, but they will be announcing it shortly. But Dragoon Guard, he's a horse that wants to go for the lead, and he got caught late in the Cherokee Mile by Moonlight, and the issue that he has is he's going to be challenged early by Comorbino Amoidi. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. Of course, I didn't watch a video, so I don't know how it's pronounced. But this is a horse that, now, he has shown that occasionally he will rate. Now, if you believe in the Timeform US pace numbers, they're saying that he's even faster than Dragoon Guard. But I just get the feeling off of everything that you're seeing here between the 6 and the 2, you're going to see a speed duel here. Now, having a shorter field like this, does that take anything out of it? But you could be looking at a speed duel here, and I think Comorbino Amoidi has a better chance of handling a speed duel than Dragoon Guard is. But Dragoon Guard has run in some bigger races. Now, granted, those big races were in 24, was running in optional claiming races in 25, ran at grade 3, didn't do anything, tired. But I think that this will favor the Japanese bred here. But this is going to bring Raised Cane and Tour Player into the mix here. I think that, I mean, this race probably wasn't as bad, but also you're running against Knightsbridge, who's a monster right now. So say what you will about that. These odds may have been a little more inflated because Knightsbridge was probably about 1-5 that day. But he was on the pace there. He was on the pace there at Churchill Downs at the end of their meet in November. Did stalk here, was a little bit further back, but still not far off the pace there. Truthfully, I think this horse has the chance to bounce back off of this. He's not facing anything. Well, Dragoon Guard is a bit of a tough horse, and the Japanese horse Komorobino Modi is also a tough horse, but he has thrown in clunkers every now and then as well. But Tour Player did run the 1-turn mile last time out and should be able to handle it again. Now, Raised Cane was a little slow out of the gate, but didn't seem that bad. But first race in almost 3 months. The trainer wins at 30% with horses that have a layoff of this time frame. So you're looking at numbers that are through the roof here on all the different subcategories that apply here. And also the husband-wife combination, the money stays within the family, the trainer money, the jockey money, all that. Keep in mind that, this horse has run some tough races at Oaklawn as well. So that horse is, you can make a case for all 4 of these horses here. But I think what's going to happen is those 2 favorites, the first 2 horses I mentioned, Dragoon Guard and Komorobino Modi, they're going to go for the lead. I think they tire themselves out. I think Tour Player bounces back and he gets the job done here. Because this is also the second time that this horse will run under Whit Beckman. Sometimes, this hasn't been the case as this horse has been bouncing around from trainer to trainer. Sometimes racing for the first time with new connections or new trainers, a lot of times horses don't win, but I don't know if that was the case with Tour Player here. I think it's more because Knightsbridge is a monster right now. So I'm going to take a chance here. I think Tour Player's going to like that he doesn't see Knightsbridge to his left or to his right or in front of him. And I'll take Tour Player here for the win. Also, a bit of a hunch play if you're a name player because we have the NHC this weekend, the championship in Las Vegas. And also, if you did not qualify for this year's final, there is a free game on horsetourneys.com. Let me just double check that here because just to let you guys know, especially on the evening show, I go on tangent after tangent after tangent, but there is a tourney on Friday. It's horseplayers.com. If you're registered with the NHC through the NTRA, you can get into Sunday's Pick and Pray tourney, and it's a free tournament. It's for tour members who did not qualify for the 2026 NHC. One goal that I have this year that I did not mention, I didn't even tell AJ this. AJ's the leader of Bleacher Brothers. One thing I didn't say is I want to qualify for that tournament this year. Now, granted, it may mean I might occasionally have to dip in my pockets and get into one of those races, but I'm usually cheap and I tend to play the free tourneys. But hey, might have to do that in order to get a seat in Vegas. And yeah, follow Gino Picola as well, or Daily Racing Form. He's had some great coverage over the last couple of days here. But going back to this race to close it out, I'm going with Tour Player here. Pretty much these odds don't mean anything, the morning line odds, because of the fact that two of the horses that the two longest shots are scratched. But I think they were going to take some money as well. I mean, with 6-horse field, you know. But I'm going to go 4, 2, 5, 6 here. And I think this could be a race where all 4 horses are very close at the end. So I'll go with the 4 here, Tour Player, in the Royal New Kent Stakes. We'll move on to the next race here, and it is the first division of the Sandy Bottom Stakes. One thing I don't know, and this is probably something that possibly even Jason Beam wouldn't be able to answer, because Jason Beam is the announcer for Colonial Downs, but what he does is he doesn't call these 3 days of racing at Colonial Downs because he's working with Tampa Bay Downs this time of the year. So Travis Stone comes in from Churchill Downs to call the races here for these 3 days. And here's the thing, every track is different, and certain tracks have certain rules for safety. Like, for example, using my home track Parks, a flat mile race on the main track, they will run a maximum of 10 horses. So you may see in the program before they announce scratches, you may have 14 horses entered, but 11, 12, 13, 14 are going to be also eligible. So I don't know if that was the case here, but given that there were 2 scratches here, probably could have put this as a 14-horse race and just had 1 race, but instead we have 2 scratches in this race where the 7-horse field gets cut down to 5. So we end up with a 5-horse field here. Once again, we will see if this race turns into more of a tactical race than an actual, just race on horse's ability or whatever. But favored in this race is Passage East, 2-1. Won the Barbara Frischi. Dry Powder came back and won the other day at Gulfstream Park. That was a race that we had a write-up on at Gulfstream Park. So Dry Powder got back on track on Wednesday. This was a horse that will stalk and has the rail here today. And let me see here. Let's see. Zadorsky, no. So there is no speed in this race now. So it's very possible, with the fact that there's nobody who normally goes for the lead, you could see this horse on the lead possibly, because it hasn't been far off the lead. Somebody's going to have to take the lead early on. But this horse has never missed the board in 14 tries. And has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 of the last 9 races. So that horse is going to be very tough here. Now, one of the horses that I did like running away was scratched. The 6th Chasin races for the first time in 2 months. Closed to win in an allowance race at the fairgrounds. Was slow to start, 6 wide bid, got up. The one thing I will say is fairgrounds has a long stretch, about a quarter of a mile. Colonial Downs, I noticed while I was watching on Thursday, because I'm more used to the turf races than I am the dirt races. The races at Colonial on the main track are long stretches as well. So you could conceive you have a long stretch to the finish. Also, these turns, even though you're still going to lose ground with every lane that you're out wide, they're a little more forgiving because the track is wider and there's a larger circumference. So she, because I want to get the pronouns right, because that's the only time I worry about pronouns is in horse racing. I mean, she may even be closer to pace. She has shown that last year. And maybe that first race in 6 months, maybe she's a little bit quicker out of the gate. She may be closing at the end. She may be closer to the pace, or maybe closer to pace, especially since we only have 5 horses in this race. So many different things to think about here and to put into that little mental puzzle that we're putting together here. The 7 Hot Laugh finished 4th in the inside information. It said she ran on there. Also, came from the back of the pack that day, and you're looking at horses here. Some, probably some of the better sprinters, female sprinters there at Gulfstream. Based in Gulfstream has been firing bullets like crazy, 3 in a row there. 23rd at Palmettos, March 2nd Palmettos, March 8th Palmettos. So definitely going to be tough here. Does get a bit of a does get some class relief here, facing non-graded in a non-graded race here. Definitely should not be 26-1 here today. 9-2 may be a little high given that there's only 5 horses in this race. Probably won't be that far back as well, because you're talking about a race here now with 5 horses. Some of the trends that we would mention are not there. Brown Sugar really hasn't shown much the last 3 races. Came to Parks last August, didn't do anything, finished 12th in that race, never threatened. Tropical Park Oaks on the grass, kind of close, but it was still way back. Handicap race at Gulfstream last month, end of January, didn't do much. So Zadorsky has run some good races, but nothing really of note on the dirt over the last 6 months or so. Did finish second in the Wishing Well there on the Tapeta there. So, but looking at this, the speed may not be there because there's no Captain Obvious speed horse in this race, which may not be a good thing for my pick here. Maybe Passage East goes for the lead, but if Passage East goes for the lead, it could be all over. But I'm going to take her laugh here There's also one bit of note here. Oh no, that's for the next race. Okay, but one thing here is she's faced Grade 1, Grade 2 company, and I think running in these tough races will actually help her today. And I'm going to go 7-6-1. Her laugh over chasing over Passage East here in the first division of the Sandy Bottom. And then we have the second division of the Sandy Bottom. Once again, field of 7. Eunomia is favored 6-5. Ran in the Royal Delta, Grade 3 race here. First race in 2 months. Did tire in that race here. Was on the lead there. You know, some will argue, yeah, she needed that race. But I will say that this horse doesn't necessarily need the lead. Did stalk there in that Keeneland race. Did win that race on the lead at Tampa Bay Downs. But, you know, you could conceivably see that she could stalk the pace here. I think she more stalk than she will go for the lead, but you never know. That's why they run the races on the dirt instead of on pace. The 7 Runaway Diva finished second last time out. Did have the lead with a quarter mile to go in the Wayward Last there. She loves the one-turn mile races here. Laurel Park, which is a one-turn mile, finished second. Colonial Downs last summer, one-turn mile, won easily. Finished third in the previous race in July after a 3-month layoff. 1 mile here at Colonial won. Ignore that turf race. That's a 2-turn race. But she likes the one-turn races. And even if you go further, you'll see, well, won't see anything else, but I thought there was more there. But she definitely likes the one-turn mile, which is definitely going to help her today. Also, Drexel Hill, who won that race at Tampa Bay Downs, was a pretty good horse in the 3-year-old filly division last year. She may not be the top of the fillies and mares right now, but keep an eye on Drexel Hill this year. So don't be surprised if you see Runaway Diva bounce back here. I mean, it wasn't that bad of a race, and not that bad of a. It wasn't that bad of a drop, only dropping 6 points there if you believe in the Beyer speed figures. But I mean, she's running 2 months later, and I don't necessarily think, even though it is a layoff in terms of daily racing form, if you think about it, many of these horses, many of these owners and trainers and everything, they make sure, well, it isn't like even back in the 80s where you see horses running every 1 to 3 weeks. You're seeing a lot of these horses now, especially these ones that are, running in these stakes races. They pick and choose their spots, and they're looking for one race, optimal performance, maximize that money in return, and then move on to the next race in about 6 to 8 weeks. So the fact that there's a line here doesn't, I mean, if you think about it, doesn't really bother me. I mean, if it was like April or May, I'd be a little concerned, and considering that you had a 3-month break there, then you have another 3-month break there. But I'm not worried about the 2 months. But you're going to be looking at a horse here who loves these 1 mile distances. especially on the main track and at Colonial Downs. So keep that in mind here when you make your selections later on today. Think fast. Stalk the pace in an optional claiming race last month at Laurel. Won easily. Hazelwood, one of the top jockeys on the Mid-Atlantic. I think he just lost his 5-pound bug. I'm not sure. I admit, even though I'm the quote-unquote horse racing expert, and that's a title that AJ gave me, not me, I try to be humble with everything and just say, yeah, I know a little bit about horses, but I prefer not to be the expert because that puts undue pressure on me. But I believe Hazelwood ran out of apprentice time. I'm not sure. I guess I'll have to look at the Laurel Park entries next week when he returns to Maryland after running here at Colonial Downs today. But this horse has been very tough since going from turf to dirt, and did change hands a couple of times there. I'm guessing I'm guessing that they thought that this horse was going to be a turf horse, but got changed hands there, at least trainer wise. It'll tell you that the trainers changed hands, but it won't necessarily tell you in the programs that there were ownership changes. You just have to go through. If you really want to know, did they sell the horse to another horse, and you don't have the complete access, you just have to go through Equibase, for example, and check the charts and see, oh, race 1, he's owned by this one. Race 2, oh, new owner. Okay, so that's probably what happened in these two cases because, well, probably more the second trainer change because you're going to a different part of the country. Whereas going from Horseshoe, Indianapolis in Indiana to Fairmount Park in Western Illinois, you can argue that may have been the same owner, but we don't have that on the thing. You just have to do more research. Has turned into a monster on the dirt course. I mean, now granted, it's hard to do this, but August 30th, he won at Fairmount Park by 28 3/4 lengths. I think that field was severely overclassed, severely outclassed. But did go to Hawthorne, won there, and finished second in the safely kept. Has a home now in the Mid-Atlantic region. Could be a bit dangerous here at a nice price here. The one Queen Azteca. Now, this is the only horse that I have seen that has made the trek, or thoroughbred horse, because I'm sure it's happened in harness racing. The only horse that has run in Norway and Sweden, 2 different stints in Sweden, and ended up in the United States. How that happened, I don't know, but she's run 4 races here in North America, or 4 already. This will be her 5th. Comes back east after running at Oaklawn and then at St. Houston. Going to be close to the pace here. It does get a little bit of class relief here, but I just think that this horse, she may try to stalk here again today. She has the rail here, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. But I think what's going to happen here is Runaway Diva is going to get the perfect trip here. The turns are going to be more forgiving. She was 3 to 4 wide. So, Brandon, welcome in. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you see Runaway Diva win here at a nice price, because I cannot ignore the fact that she runs well on Colonial's main track and she likes these one-turn mile races. So I'm going 7, 6, 3, and 1 here. And we're going to go with Runaway Diva over Eunomia in the second division of the Sandy Bottom. Race 8 is the Virginia Oaks, and we have a field of 6 here, which is scratched down to 5, with some money to love being scratched. And I know this horse is scratched, but you know, if you ever wonder how they create names, sometimes it's just totally out of blue. In this case here, you know, they did a little pun on the Queen song, Somebody to Love. Munnings is the sire, so some money to love. Even though it's scratched, you know, just a little fun thing there. And that horse was a long shot anyway. So favorite in this race is Bottle of Rouge. Now, I do want to show one thing here. And hopefully I can do this the way I want to do this. So let's show this race here. Let me see.
That's for sure. And she's at.
And this is not doing what I wanted to do. Oh. Nope. Okay, hold on. Sometimes you have to pivot. And also you're seeing how easy it is to find by horse here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show this race to you guys, and I'm going to show the stretch run here. Whoops. Bottle of Rouge is the 4. And you see there, she is not far off the lead. And they're approaching the turn here. Whoops. And I have to keep the sound off because this announcer at Sunland Park is very annoying. He sounds like he has a wager on the horse that wins every race. So Bottle of Rouge, 2 to 5, heavy favorite here, was about 4 wide there. Now watch what the 4 does here in the stretch if this video doesn't lock up on me. Veers in, affects the 7, affects the 5 as well. And the 4 goes on the win. Now, not sure if that's because of I think there was some whipping involved there. Let me just play this a second time. There was some whipping here. So she may have been getting tired there as well. It may have been reaction to the stick. But when you look further here, keep an eye on this lower right-hand video because this is the best view. The 4 is in the middle there. Watch that horse just veer to the left. She's veering around all over the place. And we'll see it one more time here. First she veers in. Now you don't have to go that far back. I'm arguing with the video from last month. So when you see this, you'll see she veers right. And then she veers to our left, her right, affects the 7, affects the 5. Now, I did have a debate with those after the race, and I had this horse to win. And I said, as we don't need to play this anymore here, the one thing I said here was, and if you follow me, Joe Quills, I'll occasionally have comments like that where, you know, even if I have the horse, I will admit I have the horse, but yeah, I would not argue that that horse needs to come down. And did swerve out there. Was it the whip? Was it that she was getting tired? Maybe, because it was her first race in over 3 months. But did have a couple of works after that race here. Travels to the east here. And Bob Baffert did have a funny comment. He said, "Well, this is my wife's horse. I get to run this horse wherever I want her to, wherever." So little husband and wife play there, but probably going to have the screws tightened on this race here. So, but she somehow survived that inquiry. She heads east for Baffert. So definitely going to be favored here. Definitely going to take money just on the fact that it's Bob Baffert. So now Hit Parade the 2 looks to bounce back after that Martha Washington race here. Did falter in that race here. Has run well. Will have a longer stretch here because Fairgrounds and Churchill Downs, their stretches are very similar, and also the stretch at Colonial is pretty long as well. She has experience in one-turn races. Well, at least the one race here where she won that starter allowance at Churchill Downs on Halloween. Looks like she could have a stalking trip here. Whereas it's very possible, even though Bottle Rouge will probably be a little bit off the pace, just like Hit Parade. Dazzling Dane is the speed on the inside, and sometimes speed on the inside could be dangerous. It all depends upon how the track is playing, and the track's been playing fair from what I've watched. I'm not the person that looks most at trends, but I mean, even Stevie Wonder, in my opinion, can tell when there's a track bias. But one thing to take note of here, this horse has been training at Fairhill in Maryland and has been training over the synthetic track. And that synthetic track will get you prepared for these races after a 2-month layoff like this horse has had. Did go gate the wire here. Also, may actually did show that she could stalk, but she faded in that race. So she may be a horse that wants to lead early on and could very well steal this race on the front end if she wants to. Now, the other horse I like here in terms of the superfecta, if there is going to be one, is Baffle the 6. Now, you're saying, wait, Joe, you're nuts. She's a maiden. I get it. But 2 races back, even though it's maidens, and yes, I know this is a much lower class of races, not facing any tough horses, never facing other horses that never won a race. Did close fairly well to finish second there. So has had some issues in these 2 races here, got bumped at the start, steadied early. I'm not saying she's winning, but maybe she sneaks into the top 3, maybe finishes 3rd, maybe finishes ahead of Cadaver for 4th. But hey, I just think Bottle Rouge will need the points, obviously, for Kentucky Oaks, as is Hickory, as is Dame. But she won 3 in a row before this. And the thing is, horses in a way are like humans. Sometimes they have a performance where you just can't explain. And I'm going to try to beat Bottle Rouge here. I'm going to go with the 2 Hit Parade here. I'm going 2-3-1-6. My win wager's on the 2. And because every once in a while I like to dabble into superfectas with a with a number scheme like this. 1, 2, 3, 6 is a bit of a numerical sequence in a way. 1 + 2 is 3, or 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. You see the number sequence there. So I'm going to go 1, 2. I'm going to go 2, 3, 1, 6. And if there's a superfecta in this race, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 6 box. For 50 cents, that's a $12 wager. You'll see that in the article that drops at 11:45. Then we get to the main event here, the Virginia Derby, 1 1/8 miles. They'll go all the way to the back of the chute that I showed you earlier today. Butane the 1, finished 3rd in the Southwest, was close to the pace, probably a little bit closer than what he's used to. But then again, he was stalking. He was stalking in that race. Let me just do one thing here. Yeah, get rid of it, damn it. Yeah, get rid of it, damn it. Okay, so Butane didn't run that bad of a race there. Finished 3rd, got outkicked for 2nd. Definitely going to be a horse that's worth mentioning. Oh, well, first of all, let me do this, because this is the free race of the day. This is where you want to go on the Daily Racing Forum website, as I showed you, to get, for example, the full free programs for this particular track. So Butane, going to be close to the pace here. One thing I do want to mention here, I do want to show you this. Silent Tactic barely lost in the Rebel 2 weeks ago. So if you believe in such things as transitive properties and other things, you may not necessarily call it that. I call it transitive properties because of mathematics and things like that when I was in high school and college. This could be a dangerous horse here. Also, bounced a little bit in that race as well, if you think about it in terms of just looking at the numbers. So don't be surprised if you see Butane potentially, may even be on the lead here. But keep an eye on Butane, because Soldier and Diplomat, Silent Tactic, who won that race, barely lost in the Rebel. And you'll say, well, Soldier and Diplomat didn't do anything, but the 5 High Camp, not nominated yet for the Derby, but I imagine if this horse wins, they'll gladly pay the supplemental fees to get their horse in the race. And this horse won at 7 furlongs at Gulfstream, been training in Florida. The one thing I will say is this is the time of year that you start testing that handicapping angle that I have, where somebody mentioned to me years ago, where it's something with going from Florida to the mid-Atlantic region this time of the year, where their nasal passages are more open because of the humid air down there or something like that. But keep that in mind today. Was on the lead in the debut, ran well. Let me see what Waymark has done since then. Whoops, wrong one. Waymark hasn't run since. Okay. So you're looking at horses here that haven't necessarily done much as well. So it's like, but Mach 7 did win at Aqueduct. So not that strong of a race as opposed to last week when we mentioned the Puma and the horse that almost won the Fountain of Youth. But definitely worth a look here, and was wide at the 3/16th, which is about the top of the stretch. So, and also gets that second race under his belt and could be dangerous here. Lock, Stock, and Pharaoh will run here on regular dirt for the first time. Has won twice at Turfway Park. Stalked at the first race here, but did lunge at the start here. So not the best of starts here, but did clear off the win easily. Well, not that easily, won by 2 lengths. But then last month went gate to wire. They did have a strong hold on him, but he was geared down towards the end and still won by almost 9 lengths. So obvious next step here for Lock, Stock, and Pharaoh here. They want to run here today as opposed to next week at Turfway Park. Incredible definitely needed that race. The Holy Bull didn't do a thing. Retreated, tired badly, whatever you want to say. Does get some time off. Did get a little bit of a break here. Did have a couple of workouts since there. Not bad. I'm expecting a much better race here, and also the one turn race that he has run, he won. So, but might have to see what happens. Get a gauge of this horse here. But and you do have other horses here that do have a shot here. But some interesting choices here in this field of 10. But I'm going to go with Butane here. I just think that this horse could be sitting on a monster race here, and also the Baffert thing that Baffert loves to do, 5 and 6 furlong workouts that not many trainers do. But so I'm going 1, 5, 6, 7 here. Butane over High Camp, over Lock, Stock, and Pharaoh, over Incredible here in the finale here at Gulfstream Park. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the show here. Just to let you guys know, next week we will be probably having even longer show than this, because next week we have racing from the fairgrounds. It's closing weekend of the fairgrounds thoroughbred meet. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stakes races, but the most important ones are the Fairgrounds Oaks. They're going a mile and a 16th. Winner will definitely get into the Oaks, Kentucky Oaks, if she runs. And the Louisiana Derby, $1 million, grade 2, going a mile and 3/16 here, the longest prep race in North America. And 100 points to the winner there. Top 2 horses will probably make it into the Derby. And I say probably, even though people say, yeah, they're in, because you never know, something happens. We're also going to take a look at Turfway Park. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 races here. They got about a week and a half. They have about two weeks left. They have the Jeff Ruby Stakes. And when you see the program, it is not a typo. It is the Jeff Ruby Stakes, Steaks. It's a play on words because Jeff Ruby is a steakhouse in that area of the country. And you have the Bourbonette Oaks as well. And if we throw in some other races, we will. But for the most part, it'll be the 2 big races at Fairgrounds and the two races at Turfway Park. So plenty of opportunities next week. Plenty of opportunities today as well. And I hope your wagers are winning ones if they're not, even if they're not my wagers. Because one thing is, I hope that even if I told you I like, for example, butane, if you like Incredible, for example, hopefully I talked you into Incredible. Because even if I don't necessarily like the horse, I do want to highlight the horses that have the chance at winning. So that's it for now. I do appreciate each and every one of you. So let's do it live next Saturday at 10 a.m. for another edition of Also Eligible. And I will see you Monday night for another edition of the Joe Quill Show as we'll probably be talking NCAA tourney as it is championship weekend, conference championship weekend, because all the bids are up for grabs today and tomorrow. And before you know it, we'll have one shining moment for a team in a couple of weeks. So that's it for now. I do appreciate each and every one.